Hello everyone, it's been a while, aka it's been a month, and you know, the month of January has been, it's been a chaotic month, so it's a good thing that I took the month break. And I know I'm not doing this like a traditional video, because this video is going to definitely be a lot different than a pitch video, because I wanted to come back and do something different. I didn't want to do just a traditional pitch video. I wanted to do a video where I'm acknowledging you guys. I wanted to read some comments that you guys have left on prior videos. I don't know the videos exactly, but I have screenshotted the questions that I have that I'm going to be reading off of. So I'm finally going to be talking to you guys, because I wanted to do this where you can hear me talk instead of just typing, because sometimes when you're reading something, you can't really hear the voice that's being typing. So, like, you can't tell how I'm feeling about certain things. You can just read it and be like, oh, he could be a bit of an asshole right now. So I didn't want you guys to make assumptions when it comes to these specific comments. So yeah, I'm going to be reading your comments, and I want to try to do this like quarterly. Not to use a corporate speak, but, you know, do it in February, and then the next time I'll probably do it in May, and then the next time probably in August, and then next would probably be November. So I want to be able to make this more interactive. That way you guys can comment on videos and I can reply back. So yeah, that's really what I want to try to do. And again, if you like videos like this, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way you can be up to date with all the videos I have here on the channel. Also hit the notification bell. That way you can be notified whenever a new video like this comes your way. And again, I really want to try to do this more. So if you guys really do like this and you want me to read more of your comments, please hitting the like button really does help. So let's get into this right now. So the first comment comes from Romeo Galt 4336, and it comes with, and it says, could you do a Marvel version of James Gunn's DCU with everything we know so far from the cinematic universe? I can't read. It would be fun. And yeah, it would be fun, Romeo, but I think for right now, because of it just being announcements, and as of right now, we really only have one product in this universe being Creature Commandos, I don't feel comfortable right now doing a Marvel version of it yet. And especially because we don't have a lot of the stories told yet, I'm not really ready to do that. It's sort of similar to why I haven't done my what if the MCU was the DCCU Phase 5 video yet. It's because all those stories aren't out yet, and so I want to wait until the stories are out. That way I can have a better idea of what this universe is going to look like. So I will maybe eventually do a video about what if James Gunn's DCU was Marvel. Maybe that'll happen eventually, but as of right now, I'm not going to be doing it in the foreseeable future. Maybe someday, like a few years. I hate to say that, but it will probably be a few years from now. But until then, it's really just, I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm not going to put myself connected to it yet. Because who knows, maybe the Batman will eventually be a part of this universe, and so that changes so much. So yeah, as of right now, I'm not going to be doing that video. Next comment comes from Adam Reese -Q3K3Q, and he says, and I know what video this is from, what's the Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter on analog? And that's coming from my what if the DCEU was the MEU Phase 2, talking specifically about Zack Snyder's Justice League, how in that movie, or how in Zack Snyder's Justice League movie, there was Martian Manhunter, and there was talks of there originally supposed to be Green Lantern in the film, but when I did it, I didn't even mention them. And it was because when I was creating the story for that specific movie, Zack Snyder's Marvel Knight specifically, I didn't really find it necessary to bring up their analogs, because they weren't necessary to the story overall. In the movie, Martian Manhunter was literally just, here's a cameo of Martian Manhunter. Sure, he appeared as Martha Kent in a scene, but I personally didn't think that scene needed to be that way. I didn't really like Martian Manhunter being Martha Kent in that scene. I felt like it would have been better if it was just Martha Kent. That's my little critique of Zack Snyder's Justice League. Also, because Green Lantern wasn't actually in the movie, I don't want to create an analog for a character that didn't actually show up. So that's why I didn't do analogs for those characters, because A, Martian Manhunter wasn't that much of a factor in the film, and B, Green Lantern wasn't actually in the film. So I didn't find it necessary to have that in the pitch. So yeah, that's why they very much weren't in that pitch, and that's why I didn't make analogs for them, and I haven't really thought about what their analogs would actually be. So yeah, that's why I didn't think of an analog for Green Lantern or Martian Manhunter for Zack Snyder's Marvel Knights. Alright, next comment comes from Jamie Lannister 1797. Pretty cool. And he says, or they say, but like Ares is already Diana's brother, you can still have the family dynamic without changing who her dad is. That comes from the what if the MCU was the DCCU, and I was mentioning about Ares being the villain and Wonder Woman being the Thor analog, and they're mentioning how Ares is already Diana's brother due to Diana being a demigod and her dad being Zeus. Now, when I came up with that idea and I was coming up with the pitch for that movie, or coming up with the plot of that movie, that wasn't the direction I was going. I wasn't going with the direction of Wonder Woman is a demigod. I was just doing, Ares is like the biggest threat to Wonder Woman in terms of her history, so that's why I'm using Ares. I wasn't really looking at it that way in a metatextual sense of, Ares is Wonder Woman's brother, like how Loki is Thor's brother. I wasn't looking at it that way. I'm glad they were able to think of a way for that to make sense. But yeah, I wasn't looking at it that. I was just thinking, Ares would be a good villain for the first Wonder Woman movie, and then we can sort of create our own arc for the character that doesn't really exist in the comics, of how we can make him a semi-redeemable character. And yeah, that's really the only direction I was going with Ares' character. But yeah, I'm glad you were able to pick that out and think of that own direction for his character. But yeah, overall for me, like, that wasn't a direction I was going. But yeah, awesome that you picked that up and you did that own direction. I wasn't even thinking of that. So yeah, cool for you, Jamie Lannister. Next up, coming from Aiden Valdez 9635 from the Bruce Wayne pitch video that's set in the Joker universe. I really like this idea. What would your fan cast be for Bruce and your director pick? Now, I sort of replied to this comment in the comment section, but I really want to vocalize it. I think when I mentioned in the comment section, I said Paul Mescal would be someone I would pick for Bruce if it were made now, because Paul Mescal is doing like great things right now in terms of acting, and he's someone that has such a great range that I think he could pull it off really well. In terms of director, I never actually had a pick for it because I'm like writing the story. I wasn't thinking of who could direct it, and also I wasn't thinking about who could play Bruce, but Paul Mescal like quickly popped in my head. But in terms of who would direct it, if I had my dream pick of who would direct it, I would want to direct it. I would want to direct this story because I'm someone that likes to write and direct their own stories. Now, when it comes to what if the MCU was the DCCU and all these grander plans, I'm more of just like, here's story, go make it, to writers and directors. But in terms of this one story, this one movie, it's something that I would want to direct myself. So if I had a dream director pick, it would be me. That's who I would want. I would want to direct the Bruce Wayne movie that would be set in the Joker universe. So yeah, so Aiden, that is my answer. Now moving on to the next comment from Tur96 Minecraft 9. If I get any of these names wrong, please let me know. But from Tur96 Minecraft 9, they say, are you going to cover the Elseworld movies as well? Because I think the Batman as a Daredevil movie would work very well. For that, I have been thinking about that, of how to do the Elseworld stories as Marvel characters. I have considered that, but at the same time, I would sort of want to pitch my own Elseworld stories. Sort of like if James Gunn came up to me and said, hey, pitch an Elseworld story. Like, that's what I would want to do. Also, I think getting into the niche of just like, do this but Marvel, or do this but DC, I think that really hampers down my creativity in what I could do. So I think at some point I may get to that and maybe adapt the DC Elseworld stories into Marvel properties. But as of right now, I think I'm gonna try to focus on making my own Elseworld stories. But if I ever get an idea of like, oh, I want to do the Batman, but as this character, maybe then I'll start like thinking about it. But until then, I'm gonna just take a step back from doing that, because there's some some pitch videos that I need to make that are priority. Like, for example, finishing out the what if the Arrowverse was Marvel, because Superman and Lois came out, and so I need to make that Marvel. So yeah, be ready for that, because that's going to be coming out eventually. Now, going over to the next comment from Damadrick Williams-U4E. Again, if I'm getting it wrong, let me know. And they say, can you pitch how you would do a Spider-Man cinematic universe, please? Now, I also saw this comment on my post that I made about how I needed to take a break because I was getting burnout and I couldn't think of any ideas. I saw them post that there saying, hey, do you remember when I gave you this idea? Yes, to Damdrick. Yes, I do remember when you gave me this idea. But the difference of you giving me the idea and me having that idea ready to go, it's two separate things, because A, you could give me this idea, and B, I still don't have anything because I haven't really thought about it. But I do intend to eventually do this idea, because I have been sort of mildly plotting something out for this. But in terms of the comment to your post, yes, I do remember when you gave me this comment. That's why I'm bringing it up. But also, you have to remember that giving someone an idea for a video and then being able to quickly spin that out are two separate things, because I still have to plot it out. I still have to think of all the ideas that I have for it. And at the time when I needed to take a break, I wasn't able to come up with any ideas for anything. I was fully burnt out. I was needing to take a break because I did not want to force myself to do ideas that I wasn't good with. So that's why I took the break. So again, I did see your comment. I'm reading it here. I'm addressing it here. I will eventually get to that idea. I have been working on something for the video, but I promise, just you need to give me time to make sure I can make a good video for that, and not just, oh, here's the idea and here's just blah. I promise I have been working and thinking about this idea. So don't worry, the idea will eventually be a video. Now we move on to the next comment, which is from Daniel Monterio 9942. And they say, will you do the Fantastic Four movies as DC? I will eventually. That's all I can really say. I will eventually, but as of right now, I don't have a solid idea on what to do with them. I do plan to doing it eventually, like I did with the X-Men and like I did with the MCU and like I did with the Spider-Man movies. I will eventually do an idea, but as of right now, I don't have anything solid for it yet. Next comment, coming from Ancient Beast 65. Good to see you doing this. I've watched your Catverse videos and it's truly great. Thank you so much. I do wonder, how would you do a DCAU version of the Marvel Universe? You know, what if Bruce Timm and Paul Dini worked on that? You know, at first I was telling myself that I wasn't going to do that idea because it's basically taking so many different beloved shows and trying to make them work in the context of, okay, there's Batman, Superman, The New Adventures of Batman, Static Shock, The Zeta Project, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited. There are so many shows that I was like, I don't know if I can do this, and I don't know if my brain will have the capacity for it. But then I started toying around with the idea and just started thinking about it, and I was like, okay, I may have something. I may have something that can work. But that's all I can say right now. I'm working. I've come up with a soft idea for what to do with it, but I don't have a full idea that I'm ready to put a video into it. So just know there is a soft idea. There is a soft idea, and I will try to get that ready eventually in the future. So yeah, that's my answer. Next comment comes from Jonathan Brown 623, and they ask, what if the Spider-Man movies were The Flash? Now, I'll say this. I've gotten that comment a lot, and it's an idea that I'm not a big fan of. I don't like the idea of doing the Spider-Man movies as Flash movies, because every time I look at that idea, I just think Spider-Man and the Flash are semi-similar, but they're not fully similar. Like, Spider-Man is someone that uses a lot of humor, and the Flash, Barry Allen's Flash specifically, wasn't really a humorous character when he was around. Barry Allen was a very serious character when he first existed, and even after he existed in the New 52, they showed him as a more serious character. The more energetic and jokey character of the Flashes was Wally, and I just don't see the Flash, Barry, and Spider-Man like really the same. But there was a TikTok series of videos that were done. I can't remember who did it, but he basically did this idea. And when I was watching those videos, I was just thinking, man, if I were to do it, I would just basically be taking this guy's ideas. And I just don't want to use that guy's ideas. And I just also don't think that I would make it work perfectly, because I think Spider-Man and Superman are more connected because of them being premier heroes of both of their companies. And that's why I was more willing to do Superman and Spider-Man, because they're both like the most popular characters of their company. So I felt more comfortable doing that. But yeah, I'm not really planning on doing Flash and Spider-Man. I'm not planning on doing that idea. For the next comment, it's from Princess_Ozma, and they comment, The Incredible Hulk 1997. I'm not a big fan of The Incredible Hulk TV show, animated show, and I never really watched it when I was growing up. My main shows were X-Men and Spider-Man. Those were the main shows I grew up with, so I have a better understanding of what happened in those shows. The other Marvel 90s shows I wasn't really watching a lot of the time, so I would legitimately have to go and watch those shows just to get an idea of what to do, or just to have an idea of what those shows were like. So yeah, I think as of right now, that idea is sort of on the furthest back burner, because I wouldn't even know where to start with that show. But yeah, that's what I got for you in terms of that Princess Ozma. Next comment comes from BRB Boy 309. Sorry. And they say, I have some ideas. What if the MCU was the SMCU, Spider-Man Cinematic Universe? What if the Batman films, the ones in the 90s as well as the new one, were Spider-Man? What if the DCAU was the MAU, Marvel Animated Universe? What if the DCEU was the MEU, Marvel Extended Universe? What if the TASM Cinematic Universe happened? So, BRB Boy came up with a lot of ideas, and the MCU, and what if the MCU was the SMCU, the Spider-Man Cinematic Universe? That's probably not going to happen, because there's a lot of MCU stuff. And sure, Spider-Man has a lot of side characters that you could try, and a lot of Spider-Verse characters, but I think that would be the hardest one out of this list. I think that one might be the hardest one to do, so I think that one's gonna not be on any stove. Batman films were Spider-Man's, like the 90s and the new one. I mean, I did the Nolan trilogy already for Spider-Man, so that could be something that could happen, maybe. I don't know. I'm not confirming or denying that. I'm just saying that could be something I do in the future. The DCAU was the MAU. I already talked about that. That is something I didn't think I could do, but I started thinking about it. What if the DCEU was the MEU? That has been done. That has been finished. And what if the TASM Cinematic Universe actually happened? I really don't want to do that, because I wasn't the biggest fan of the TASM movies, so I really don't want to touch that universe at all. I'd rather do my own cinematic universe for Spider-Man than try to do the TASM universe. So yeah, I think out of all the ideas you gave me, only 2 of them will be done. Well, technically 3, because the DCEU and the MEU was already done. I did that last year, but overall I think out of the ones I haven't done, only 2 of them will be done. Now going to the last comment that I have here, let's go over to it, and it's by Lydia Silky 5031, and they say, I would like to see a part 2 to this, referring to the what if the DCEU DCEU actually happened, the original slate, what if it actually happened? And they continued on, I wonder what could have happened afterwards. I guess we would have had a Martian Manhunter, Nightwing, Suicide Squad 2, Batgirl, Justice League Dark, New Gods, Teen Titans, Wonder Woman 2, Shazam 2, Aquaman 2, The Flash sequels, Wonder Woman 3, Gotham City Sirens, Blue Beetle, but that's just my guess. So they're basically saying, hey, what if you just did a part 2 to what if the DCEU actually happened? Like, what if the Snyderverse actually continued on with the original slate? And that was an idea that when they posted that comment, I know I replied to that and I was like, oh, that's something I never thought about doing. That was an idea that never crossed my mind. So when they gave me that idea, I was thinking, oh yeah, I could basically go in my own direction of what these movies could be like in the future. And yeah, that was something I was intrigued by, and it's something that I haven't really fully fleshed out since I saw that comment. But yeah, it is something that I consider a few times, like once every few months, of like, oh, what if the DCEU did continue in the original slate? Like, basically after the original slate happened, it would be me making up stuff. And yeah, that's sort of something I would be interested in doing, and potentially doing as a video idea where I could just come up with my own stories that would probably work in the Snyderverse. But yeah, that's something I have thought about, and I wouldn't mind going back to it. And yeah, those have been the comments that I picked out to do this video on. This is probably going to be going under the MrEliMac Vlogs playlist, if anyone's wondering where to find this eventually. But yeah, if any of you have any more comments that you want me to read on camera, just post them down below this and post them in future videos as well. That way I can know that you guys want me to continue doing these types of videos, and this is my way of trying to engage with you all as a actual voice speaking to your ideas, instead of just seeing me type out words and you having to guess, I wonder what type of voice he's saying this in. Is he saying it in a sarcastic manner? Is he saying it genuine? Or I don't know, like something like that. I want to be able to have this type of conversation with the audience. Ever since I started doing videos, I wanted to have audience engagement, and I thought this would be the best way to do audience engagement. But yeah, what were your thoughts on this type of video? And yeah, I do hope that you all do respond to this video and want me to read more of your comments and have more of an engagement, because I want to be able to talk to you guys. I like being able to talk to you, and that's more than just, hey, here's a movie idea here. I want to be able to talk to you all. And yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this. Next week, I will be having a pitch video ready to go. Hopefully, ready to go. But until then, I've been MrEliMac, you've been the audience, and I hope you all remember to have a great rest of the day.